Students, are you able to see the screen? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes. Can see the screen.
Yeah, okay. So the first procedure is nasogastric tube insertion. Okay, this is one of the important skill lab thing which can come for your OSCE exam. Okay, this is what I will just rush through these things, and the most important thing is the various sequential steps. That particular thing you can take a screenshot, you can keep it just before the exam, you can rush through it. Yeah. But in the OSCE, we won't ask you what are the indications, contraindication and all. What is the definition? Actually, what is this nasogastric tube insertion? This is insertion of nasogastric tube. Nasogastric tube means through the nose, you are putting this tube into your stomach. That is what is called nasogastric tube. There is one more thing called orogastric tube. That is mainly for poisoning patient to give gastric lavage. That is called orogastric tube. This is nasogastric tube through the nose into the patient's stomach. Example is Ryle's tube and Levin's tube. Usually the size is 16 French. So what are the indications for this nasogastric tube incision? The commonest is number one indication is bowel obstruction. This bowel obstruction could be small bowel obstruction, large bowel obstruction, or gastric outlet obstruction. This is the commonest indication for nasogastric tube incision. Okay. And number two is tube feeding in neurological patients who are unable to swallow. Okay, head injury patient or some neurological patient, problem where the patient cannot swallow. Okay, then you can put the tube inside, you can feed the patient. For gastric lavage, I told you just now, in poisoning patient, and this is called not nasogastric, it is orogastric tube, and the name of this orogastric tube is called Ewald tube, and the size is 24 French. Here it is only 16 French because we are introducing it through the nose. Whereas here, since we are introducing it through the mouth itself, you can use a bigger tube, and you have to give the gastric lavage also in poisoning. So you need a bigger tube, and name of that tube is called Ewald tube. And number four indication is for instilling barium into the esophagus for barium swallow in patients who are unable to swallow. The same neurological patients. You can, if you want to take a barium swallow, they cannot swallow. So you have to put the tube into the esophagus and you have to instill the barium into the esophagus. Okay. These are the four indications for nasogastric tube incision. But in the OSCE exam, we won't ask you what are the indications. You need not write. Okay, then having talked about the indication, it is prudent that we have to talk about what are the contraindications. The absolute contraindications are the following things. Number one, severe facial trauma, including maxillary fracture. And number two, cribriform plate fracture of the sphenoidal bone. Cribriform plate of the sphenoidal bone fractured. Okay, corrosive esophagitis. That means it could be because of alkali or it could be because of acid consumption. Accidental consumption of either alkali or acid that will produce corrosive esophagitis, where you should not introduce the nasogastric, otherwise you will be perforating the esophagus. Okay, or recent esophageal surgery, any esophageal surgery recently, only few days, then also you shouldn't do the nasogastric tube insertion. What are the relative contraindication? If patient is having esophageal stricture, that could be because of benign or malignant stricture, or if the patient is having unstable cervical spine fracture, patient is a known case of bleeding diathesis, or patient is having any compromised airway. In all these things, these are all relative contraindications for nasogastric tube insertion, but indications and contraindication usually in the OSCE exam we won't ask you. Straight away you have to go to this one. But before this, Yeah, I will, the equipments I am telling, then I will go to what are the things you have to do. Okay. Sorry. 1 minute. So what are the equipments you need to do this procedure? You need a pH testing strip because you want to know whether it is the stomach content is acidic or alkali. You need a syringe, lubricant and gauze piece. Of course, you need a gastric tube and the dressing material, gloves and apron, that is PPD, disposable small sterile bowl, and then a glass of water with a straw. These are the things you need to do this procedure. So now we are going to the sequential steps. The first 3 steps are common for all 3 procedures. Okay, the same thing. So what is the first thing you have to do? You have to introduce yourself to the patient, and then you have to tell the patient why and what you are going to do. What is the procedure you are going to do and why you are doing it. That also you have to tell. And then you have to tell the possible complications also, and then obtain an informed consent from the patient. For nasogastric, you need not get a written consent. Of course, orally you have to get a consent. You have to ask the patient, is it okay? Because after explaining everything, you have to get the consent. This is the first step for all procedures. The second step, you have to get a chaperone, irrespective of whether you need not bother about male or female. You tell this is the second step. Yeah, you need not bother about it. You ask for a chaperone. And then privacy. Privacy should be maintained by putting a curtain or screen. You have to maintain that privacy. This is step number 2. Step number 3, you have to wear the PPD. You all know now what is PPD. That is apron, cap and mask and goggles. This is your this thing. Then you have to wash the hand, and then you have to wear a, you need not wear a sterile glove. This is not correct. You can, because this is nasogastric. Only in one procedure you must wear sterile glove. That is for bladder catheterization. The other 2 procedure you can wear a non-sterile glove. Doesn't matter. So these things you have to do in the correct sequence. First you have to wear the PPD, then wash hands, then wear the glove. Don't wear the glove and try to wash your hand. Don't wash your hand and then try to, put the PPDs. So this should be in the correct sequence. Wear the PPD first, because these PPDs are not sterile. You have to wear them first and then wash hands, and then you have to do the sterile gloving. This is the correct sequence. This is common for the first 3 steps are common for all 3 procedures. The same thing you are going to do. Okay, now comes the specific thing. So in this procedure, in nasogastric tube incision, the patient should lie in the bed in Fowler's position, that is 45-degree angle. Patient is, okay, the elevated head end is elevated on a pillow. Okay, they are keeping a pillow and Fowler's position. This is the position. So then you have to use a pen torch, visualize any polyp or the status of median septal deviation in the nostril. So you can use here they are using a ENT light, but you can use a pen torch. You can look for evidence of any polyp or median septal deviation. Okay, right. The next step is, this is the commonest thing many of the students they tend to forget. So the first thing you have to do is take the tube, nasogastric tube. The name is Levin's tube or Ryle's tube. This is called. So you have to keep the tip of this catheter to the tip of the nose, then loop around the ear lobule, yeah, around the ear, and then you go up to the jiffy sternum and mark that area either with a tape, or you can mark it with the indelible ink. That you have to mark. You have to measure this length which you are going to introduce inside. That is the first thing. Then you have to apply liberally lot of lubricant to the tip of NG tube. Not only the tip, the whole tube, at least the distal most, some 5 to 8 centimeters. You have to lubricate it with xylocaine jelly. Yeah, this is what you are seeing there in the gauze piece. They have put a xylocaine jelly, and okay, they are liberally they are applying it to the tip of the NG tube. This is the step number 7. Step number 8, okay, now you have to insert the NGT, but before going to insert the NGT, you give the patient the glass of water with the straw. Okay, then patient should be in sniffing position. That means it is a slight neck extension, not hyperextension, slight neck extension, but patient should not be in flexed position. Neck should not be in flexed position. It should be a slight extension position, that is called sniffing position. Then you gently you have to introduce the NGT, but you have to introduce it through the floor of the nostril and not through the roof of the nostril. If you are going through the roof of the nostril, invariably you will be injuring the turbinate in the nasal cavity, and patient will start having epistaxis. Okay, so you go on introducing it until the patient is going to experience gag reflex. When you are touching the oropharynx, no, the patient will experience this. What is gag reflex? It is just vomiting sensation or nausea. So at this thing, you have to ask the patient to sip the, sip the water from the glass. So what will happen? Why we are asking the patient to sip? So that the epiglottis will close the tracheal inlet. So even accidentally, this tube cannot enter into the trachea. That is the idea. We want to close the epiglottis, and that is why we are asking the patient to sip water. This is the second most common thing that most of the students they miss. Number 1, measuring the length of the tube, that they tend to forget. Number 2, this asking the patient to sip the water. These are the 2 steps most of the students they tend to forget. So please remember this. Don't forget to tell in the examination. These skill lab procedures, very easy to score 20 out of 20. So you will be having 7 minutes in your station, and the total marking is 20, and you will be having 2 rest station also. 10 stations will be there. So for one round, there will be 12 students, like that. I don't know what they are going to decide, but usually we have that pattern only. 2 rest stations will be there. Okay, I'm going to the next step. Now you have to insert the NGT up to the mark, which we have marked it in the NG tube already. You have to advance it. While the patient is sipping water, you go on introducing it until you are going to reach that mark in the NG tube. Now, the next step is you have to confirm the position in the stomach, which can be done by 3 maneuvers. You can push the air inside, and you can hear the hissing sound in the epigastrium by auscultating. This is what this person is doing. He is auscultating the epigastric region with a stethoscope while he is introducing air through the Rayleigh tube. Yeah, you can hear that hissing sound. Or you can aspirate the stomach content and test the stomach content with a litmus paper, prove that that is acid. That is another method. And one more method is you can take a X-ray, okay, abdominal X-ray, where you can see the tip of the this tube, NG tube. You can see the 3 lead pellets, and apart from that, the whole tube will be marked by a blue line, which is radio opaque. Okay, you can make out the whole tube also. So how will you confirm the tip is in the stomach? 3 methods. Push the air and hear the hissing sound in the epigastrium. Aspirate the stomach content, test it with litmus paper, and the final method is take an abdominal X-ray where you can see the lead pellets in the tip of the Rayleigh tube, or you can see the blue line throughout the Rayleigh tube. These are the 3 methods. So now finally you have to fix the NG tube to the nose by, this is how you have to fix it. You have to cut this tube in the middle exactly. This is called 2-tail technique. Okay, this you have to do, and you have to wind this tail in one direction clockwise and this in anti-clockwise. You have to wind it. You have to fix it. Yeah, this is to avoid even accidental removal. That is the purpose of fixing this NG tube to the nose. And finally, okay, you have to thank the patient. Yeah, this also you have to tell. Because each step, no, 12, 13, each step carries 1 mark or 2 mark. So if you are going to tell that, okay, you will get full mark. If you are not going to tell it, you will get 0 mark. Each individual steps carries 1 mark or 2 marks. See, already 13 steps. One more step. Final. Throw the glove into the yellow color bin. This is what you have to do. All the things, glove, all the material, gas piece, everything you have to throw into the yellow color bin. This also you have to tell. This also carries mark. Because the examiners we will be carrying the marking sheet that consists of the various steps, 1, 2, 3, all the steps will be printed. So according to that, either we will be giving you the full mark, that is 1 or 2 marks, or 0 mark. Or if you are doing, but you are not doing properly, you will get half of the mark. Okay, this is what we used to do. So now recap. Okay, once again, I'm going to tell you the same thing. Introduce yourself, explain the procedure, and take informed consent. You need not get written consent, oral consent. Ask for a chaperone and provide privacy. Positioning of the patient. Yeah, position is here, it is Fowler's position. And you have to wear the PPD, then wash hands, and then you have to wear the glove. This is the sequence. Okay, all these 3 steps common for all 3 procedures. Then you have to inspect the nasal cavity with a torch for evidence of any polyp or the status of the median nasal septum. Then you have to measure the length of the tube to be inserted from the nose around the ear up to the giphisternum, and you have to mark it. Then you have to put adequate jelly to the tip of the tube. Insert the tube gently through the floor of the nasal cavity. Now, when the patient is having gag reflex, ask the patient to swallow water while you are inserting. Insert the tube up to the marking. Confirm the tube position, that 3 method I told you already. Then you have to fix the tube to the nose by what is called 2-tail method. Finally, you can dispose the glove and you can thank the patient. So these are the steps you have to tell one by one without missing anything. You will easily, you can get 20 out of 20 in these skill lab procedures. Very easy to score. Yeah. Okay, wait. I'm going to the one more thing. The next second one is bladder. Hello, students. Are you able to see? Hello.
Yes, yes, sir. Can see the slides.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to the second one, third one. That's all. You have to go. I'm not going to take for hours together. Yeah, I know that you are all reading. This is only to recap the procedure so that during the exam, I'm telling, maybe I will be telling some tips also. Okay, you have to even you know everything properly. No, you have to, on the day of the exam, just you take a screenshot of that. I have shown that recap, all the 14 steps. That you take a screenshot, keep it with you. Just before the exam, once again, you go through it. And not only going through it, you have to run a, what is called a mental movie. Yeah, you have to close your eyes, run a mental movie. You imagine that you are doing this, all these steps. Step 1, what is it? Step 2, what is it? You have to imagine it. You have to form a mental movie. Then you will never forget. Okay, that is what I am telling you what to do. Okay, the same thing, bladder catheterization. What is it? Insertion of Foley catheter into the urinary bladder through the urethra. Through the urethra. Indications, the commonest is acute retention of urine in bladder outlet obstruction. Yeah, in that case, patient will go for acute retention. And number 2 cause is to monitor urine output. All major surgeries used to catheterize them to measure the urine output. If urine output is good, that means patient's blood pressure is good. If BP is not good, say is hypertension, urine output is also not adequate. And in case of neurogenic bladder, those who are having urinary incontinence, and instilling dye into the bladder to take cystogram. This is one thing. For adult patient, you can instill the dye urographene into the bladder and take a picture. This is what is called cystogram. For those patients who are having suspected bladder rupture, bladder injury, okay, you can do this cystogram. This is for adult. Or in pediatric patient, you can do what is called MCU or micturating cystourethrogram. In case of vesico-ureteric reflex, we used to do this MCU. You have to instill the dye into the bladder, and then immediately you have to instill to the full capacity, maybe around 70 ml. You instill it. This is for infants only. Then you pull out the catheter immediately. If you, this is done only in male babies, okay, the baby will start passing urine. While the patient or the baby is passing urine, you have to take the X-ray. That is why it is called micturating cystourethrogram, to confirm or to rule out vesico-ureteric reflex. And number 6 indication is instilling topical chemotherapy in case of carcinoma of the bladder. So what topical chemotherapy you will instill in CA bladder? Any one of you can answer. You are exam going student. CA bladder, what topical chemotherapy you will instill into the bladder? Hello, all of you are there, but at least one can answer. Nobody, yeah. Hello. Hello. Are you there or not? Okay. No, you just respond so that I don't know whether all of you are there or not. At least one of you should respond. You need not answer the question. You just tell yes. Hello.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
That's all. I will tell you the answer. Because no, otherwise I will be talking. You may not be hearing you. There is some problem in the connection. So I want to confirm. Okay, it is BCG, topical chemotherapy. So you have to read, no, all the conditions. CA bladder, you have to read. In hematuria, okay, we used to talk about carcinoma of the bladder. The topical chemotherapy is BCG, or bleomycin also you can put. Okay. What are the contraindications? Urethral trauma, the complete rupture of the urethra or urethral stricture are two absolute contraindication. Relative contraindication, urinary tract infection. Patients are on anticoagulant or those who are having bleeding diathesis. These are relative contraindications. So what are the equipments you need? Setup equipment, you need a sterile drape, Golipot, and this is the for cleaning the external genitalia and the perineum and all. So this is a sterile glove. You need a sterile glove. That is very important. Sterile receiver, kidney dish, one pad, and this is the Euro bag or catheter bag. Of course, you need local anesthetic gel also. Okay, right. The same thing. The first 3 steps are introduce yourself, tell the patient why and what you are going to do, tell the possible complication, and then obtain informed consent. The same thing. Same thing. Second step is chaperone and privacy, which I told you already. The third step is, this is also the same. Wear the PPD, wash your hands, and here sterile glove. Very important. The other 2 procedures, you can wear non-sterile glove or examination glove, but not for the bladder catheterization. You must wear only sterile glove. Yeah, and you have to tell it in the proper sequence. That is also important. So what is the 4th step? Place the patient in the supine position. The previous patient, you put them in Fowler's position. Here, it is supine position with legs extended like this. This is the supine position, leg extended and flat on the bed. Like this, the patient has to put. Put absorbent pad under the patient. You have to put, see, here, this is the absorbent pad. You have to put under the patient here, because any wetting may happen to the bed. So you put something. There may be spillage of urine, something. So you better put a absorbent pad under the patient. And then clean the genitalia properly. So you have to you have to retract the prepuce in uncircumcised patient, and you have to start not only the glans penis, actually you have to clean from the umbilicus to middle of the thigh on both sides. That is one gauze. The second gauze piece you have to take and you have to retract the prepuce and clean only the glans. And povidone iodine, for this you can use either povidone iodine or chlorhexidine. This is the thing you can use to clean the glans penis. Then you can apply a sterile drape. This is what you was. This sterile drape is central hole fenestrated towel. This is the central hole towel or fenestrated sterile towel. You have to put like this. This is the 7th step. 8th step, you have to take xylocaine jelly into the syringe, and through this nozzle should be introduced into the external meatus, and you inject all the jelly into the bladder. Immediately after injecting it, you have to compress the urethral meatus for 5 minutes to avoid the backflow. Otherwise, whatever you have injected into the bladder will come out. But in the exam, don't spend 5 minutes for that. You have to just tell the examiner, that's all, because your total duration of this procedure is only 7 minutes. If you are going to compress it for 5 minutes, there won't be enough time for you to do other things. So you have to tell the examiner that you have to compress it for 5 minutes, but literally you need not do it for 5 minutes. You have to just tell them, that's all. Okay, this is the 9th step. Now you have to place the sterile receiver. This is the kidney disc. You just put it beneath the external genitalia. This is better because otherwise when urine is start coming out, it will get spilled all over the bed. So now you have to select the appropriate catheter. Usually this is the catheter which you are seeing here. This is the Foley catheter. Appropriate number, again it is 14 French or 16 French for the adult patient. We are using it. So you can see here, you can see the size of the catheter will be printed here, and how much and what material you have to instill, that is also important. I will tell later. Later in the slide I will tell. So you have to inject something, but before introducing it, you inject air first and see the integrity of this balloon, whether it is there, this balloon, or whether it is collapsing. That you have to watch for. You have to do it and watch for a few minutes. If it is not collapsing, that means this balloon is intact. Okay, now there are different varieties of balloons. These are all just, this is not Foley catheter. This is also not Foley catheter. But this number 3, this catheter, you can see the tip is rigid and slightly bent. So this is called Coody catheter. Okay, this one. When you are having a patient with prostatic hyperplasia, you have to use this sort of, the Foley catheter. And if the lumen is triluminal catheter, that is called triluminal Foley catheter, we use it for continuous irrigation of the bladder, triluminal Foley catheter. So you have to select appropriate catheter. Usually we select biluminal Foley catheter. Okay, insert the catheter gently into the urethra. So you have to insert, but you have to keep the external genitalia 90 degrees. This is not correct. You have to keep it, maybe this is slightly correct, but it should be 90 degrees perpendicular. So what we are doing, usually the male urethra is S-shaped. By doing this maneuver, we are making it L-shaped. Insert gently Foley catheter into the urethra, but Foley catheter also you have to, put lot of xylocaine jelly. Then you insert it. See, hold it 90 degrees and then you fully insert the catheter until the urine drains. If you insert the whole catheter, what will happen? No, urine will drain. That will fall into this kidney dish. Now what you have to do? You have to inflate the balloon with 30 ml of sterile water. Don't use air. Don't use saline. If you are using air, the balloon will float and urine won't get drained properly. If you are using saline, the patient will go for what is called, that will get attached, this Foley catheter balloon, that will get attached to the mucosa. So you better don't use saline, don't use air. You must use only sterile water. This you must know. And then now you can attach the Euro bag to this end, okay, or even prior to this, without keeping this kidney dish, straight away you can attach this even prior to introducing it into the, you can do it in whatever way. And you can attach the appropriate size Euro bag you have to attach. Then pull the catheter and the balloon is already inflated. So you are confirming the self-retaining capacity of this catheter. If the balloon is fully inflated, it won't come out of the urethra. Okay, that you have to confirm by gently pulling it back. Okay, if it is not coming back, okay, you have to replace the prepuce. Don't forget to replace the prepuce if it is appropriate. If you have already, pull back the prepuce, again you have to pull it back and keep it in the original position. If you forget to do it, the patient will go for a complication called paraphimosis. Okay, so you have to do this without forgetting it, otherwise your patient is going to go for paraphimosis. Okay, now you have done everything, clean the area, any spillover, and then you can cover it with this drape. Okay, now you have to fix the Euro bag below the level of the patient. See, this is the Euro bag. They have fixed it into the rail of the bed. Here they have fixed it. Don't keep it above the patient or even at the level of the patient. You have to keep it below the patient. Best is you have to fix it to the rail of the bed. This patient's bed, you have to fix it there. The urine will start draining. See, you can see lot of urine is draining there. This is how you have to do it. And then finally you have to fix it here. Where is it? Oh, yeah, that they haven't shown. But you have to put a plaster here. You have to fix it into the thigh. Or you can fix it into the anterior abdominal wall also. But majority you have to fix it here in the thigh. Okay, then finally you have to thank the patient. And then you have to throw the glove and other things into the yellow color bin. So you have to practice. So these are the 20 steps. Introduce yourself, explain the procedure, take informed consent, oral consent again. Ask for a chaperone and provide privacy by putting a curtain or screen. You have to wear an apron, wash your hands, and you have to wear a sterile glove. Position the patient, supine position. Put absorbent pad under the patient. Clean the genitalia properly. You have to use 3 gauzes. Apply sterile drape. This is a fenestrated drape, yeah, or central hole towel. Now you have to inject the lignocaine jelly into the urethra, yeah, with that syringe. Wait for 5 minutes means you have to compress the external genitalia. Place the sterile receiver or the kidney dish. Now select appropriate catheter. Insert the catheter gently into the urethra. Fully insert the catheter until urine drains. Inflate the balloon only with sterile water. Now you attach the Euro bag. Pull catheter to confirm self-retaining status of the catheter. Replace the prepuce if it is appropriate. Clean the area and cover it. Fix the Euro bag below the level of the patient. Then finally, you have to thank the patient.
Are you joining the revision class surgery?
Hello? Hello, who is that?
After the
Hello? Okay, right. Thank the patient and you have to throw the glove into the yellow color bin. These are the 20 steps you have to remember. So what I am telling you, just take a screenshot of this one for all 3 procedures. You can just before the exam day, you just go through it and run a mental movie also. Easily, I wish and I hope all of you should get 20 out of 20. Whatever one among the 3 is definitely going to come. It could be nasogastric tube, it could be bladder catheterization or digital rectal. Okay, now one more procedure I have to talk. Wait a minute. Digital rectal. Okay, students, are you able to see the screen?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah, okay. This is the last procedure. One among the 3 is definitely going to come. So 20 marks are assured. Don't worry. You have to read only these steps. That's all. Very easy. This is also known as DRE, Digital Rectal Examination, or PR. PR is per rectal examination. Okay, this is also important. So definition is a physician insert his or her glove fingers into the anal opening to find out anal or rectal pathology, any pathology, prostatic pathology, or anal sphincter tone. This is the purpose. What are the indication? The commonest indication is after all local abdominal examination. After doing abdominal examination, all abdominal examination should be followed by rectal examination. This is the commonest indication. Whenever you are doing abdominal examination, don't forget to do a rectal examination also. This is number one indication. Number two, patient is passing bright red blood per rectum, or this is also known as hematochezia. This is number two indication. Or if your patient is having altered bowel habits, either constipation or diarrhea, or both constipation and diarrhea in the same patient, suspected prostatic pathology, you want to rule out any prostate or any anal incontinence. So these are the 5 indications for digital rectal examination. What is the absolute contraindication? Imperforate NS. You cannot do it, because even if you want to do it, you cannot do it because there is no anal opening. The same thing is true for this is congenital absence of NS. Whereas the second thing is after AP resection, this acquired one. We used to close the anal opening. There is in the adult patient there is no anal opening. So usually there will be a colostomy. So these are the 2 absolute contraindications. Even if you want to do it, you cannot do it. Relative contraindication is acute fissure in ano. Because in acute fissure, patient will experience excruciating pain. Yeah, severe pain. There are, if you start doing it, no, they started weeping. They start weeping. So that is why in acute fissure in avoid doing digital rectal examination. Okay, the equipment is very simple. You need only glove. Okay, you need not, use a sterile glove, unsterile glove, apron. Of course, you need a lubricant and the paper towels. Okay, the first step is the same thing. I'm not going to repeat it. First step is same. Second step is also same. The third step is also same. Same for all 3 procedures. So fourth step, patient position. See, for each procedure, the patient's position is different. For nasogastric, it is Fowler's position. For bladder catheterization, supine position. For digital rectal examination, it is Sims position or left lateral. Okay, this is the position. Patient should lie like this, or lithotomy position also you can use. Then you have to expose the area adequately. See, this is the area, this is a mannequin. So you have to expose that area, perianal area, inspect the perianal skin. Perianal means all around. For evidence of any ulcer, any swelling, any fistula, any sinus, all this, any abscess, okay, all these things you have to look in the perianal area. Then you have to lubricate your index finger with xylocaine jelly. See, this is the xylocaine jelly. Lubricate your index finger. Yeah? And then apply the finger gently into the anal opening at 6 o'clock position. You keep your finger there, and before introducing your finger into the rectum, you just tell the patient that you are going to introduce, and gently you insert your finger into the anal canal. After introducing it into the rectum, you have to rotate the finger 360, but you can rotate clockwise 180 and anti-clockwise 180 degree. You have to rotate both the way, clockwise and anti-clockwise 180, 180. So total is 360. What is the purpose? You want to rule out any mass or any polyp in the anorectal area. That is the purpose. Okay, that is number 1. And then palpate anteriorly in male patients for prostate. Feel for the size of the prostate. Look for the median sulcus and look for the surface of the prostate, whether it is smooth or whether it is nodular, any nodule that you have to make up. So anteriorly you have to palpate in male patients. Okay. And then this here I have missed one thing. Then you have to rotate it posteriorly. Posteriorly, you can feel the sacral bone. It is not there in this slide. Okay, I forgot to include, but many of them they haven't include the sacral bone. But you can rotate it posteriorly. You can feel posteriorly the sacral bone, and then before taking it out, ask the patient to contract the perineal muscle to find out the anal sphincter tone. If patient is able to grip your finger with the perineal muscle, the patient has got very good anal tone. If it is not gripping your finger properly, probably your patient's anal tone is not good, and these patients are likely to go for anal incontinence or fecal incontinence. That you have to assess. Then you have to take your gently remove the finger and inspect the finger stall for blood, mucus, or fecal matter. You have to look into your finger stall after taking it out of the rectal or anal canal. Then finally you have to clean the anal area, perianal area, you have to clean. And then cover the area. Cover the area after cleaning. Then thank the patient and throw the glove into the yellow color bin. Hello? Yeah. So now here, unlike the other two procedures, you have to tell your finding to the examiner. What you have to tell, okay, especially it is only prostate. Okay, you have to tell enlarged smooth surface with median sulcus. Probably it is a case of BPH because it is enlarged, okay, but it is smooth surface. Median sulcus is felt, no nodule. Most probably your patient is having benign prostatic hyperplasia. If the prostate is having a single nodule with normal median sulcus, could be a carcinoma of the prostate. The whole prostate is nodular, that is called craggy prostate. Median sulcus is also obliterated. It is carcinoma of the prostate. So if it is carcinoma of the prostate, what is the tumor marker? You have to do PSA. PSA below 5 is normal. If it is above, up to 10, probably BPH. Above 10, it could be malignancy. Above 30, mostly it is malignancy, 30 nanogram. So, but how will you confirm the prostatic, malignancy? You have to take a biopsy. Under transrectal ultrasound, transrectal ultrasound guided prostatic biopsy, you have to take biopsy from 6 areas. And then rectal and anal canal, you have to palpate mainly for polyp or cea rectum growth. Anal sphincter tone, if it is decreased, patient will go for fecal incontinence. So you have to tell about all these things to your examiner regarding the prostate, regarding the rectum and anal canal area, and regarding the sphincter tone. All these 3 things you have to tell to your examiner. So these are the sequential steps. The first 3 steps I am skipping it because for all 3 procedures up to the 3rd step, it is the same thing. Position of the patient, here it is Sims position. Expose the area, inspect the perianal skin, lubricate the index finger with xylocaine jelly, gently introduce your finger at 6 o'clock position. Then after going into the rectum, rotate the finger 360 degrees, 180 degree clockwise, 180 degree anti-clockwise. Palpate anteriorly in male patient to look for prostate. Check for anal sphincter tone by asking the patient to contract the perineal muscle. Gently remove your finger and inspect the finger stall for evidence of blood, mucus, and fecal matter. Then clean the anal area, cover that area. Finally, thank the patient and throw the glove into the yellow color bin. And you have to tell the inference of DRE to the examiner. What findings you have to tell. This is one additional thing here in this procedure. So that's it. Okay, be there. I'm coming there. Wait. Where is it? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, this is a big class. I cannot ask you to ask me any question because no, it will be, yeah. If all of you start asking me now, I cannot. But if you have any doubt, you can ask me either in the WhatsApp group, or you all know my number, no? You can WhatsApp me individually. If you have any doubt, not only this, any doubt in any topics in surgery, not only for asking, okay, you can ask me. Hello? Maybe the group leaders, you can answer Celsi and Centuria. Celsi
Right,
and
sir.
Centuria, you can answer on behalf of other students. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Do
I have a
you?
question.
Yeah. Ask me.
Is there any chance they'll ask us to do abdominal examination for OSCE, sir?
Yeah, that's what I want to tell. Actually, yesterday I went to Malacca as an examiner for batch 38. So they were having simulated patient. They kept a normal person. He is not a patient at all. And the students have been asked to do the neck examination. Okay. Okay, we have, but that is an active station because patient has to tell each whatever they are doing, they have to tell. But for you, no simulated patient, don't worry. No simulated patient for P2S1. That I inquired yesterday itself. So it is the regular, you will be having one of the stations will be one of these three things. Yeah, the all other three stations which I am going to discuss. The 2 more days are there. No, I'll cover all those things. One is X-ray. Another one maybe you are not going to be given any simulated patient. Don't worry. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. You will be only mannequin will be given to you, not real patients. But for batch 38, all three stations, they are having only 3 stations. You are having 4 stations. All 3 stations are active stations for them this time because they cancel the clinical exam totally because you cannot go to the hospital now. No, they cancel the clinical
Yes.
exam. That is why they converted all the stations into active stations. So yesterday it was clinical exam. Probably they will examine the history taking ability also. Yeah, they will keep a patient, but in history taking you have to train the simulated patient. They have to answer no. The student has to ask question and that simulated person has to answer. That is what maybe tomorrow we will be doing that. And one is skill lab. One is skill lab there. Skill lab they are going to ask. So tomorrow 2 stations. For you, you don't worry. Whatever I am going to take this today, already one question is out. One among the 3 procedures is definitely going to come. Okay, that I can assure you. And okay, they may ask you instruments also. That I will take day after tomorrow. I am taking instruments and X-rays. Okay, but not even 1 hour. Today it's almost 45 minutes. But day after tomorrow it will be only half an hour. That's all. Important X-rays and important instruments. That's all. Now I don't want to teach you so many things. Okay, minimum necessity only. Important thing. That is what we are going to ask you. Yeah, not going to discuss everything. Yeah. Okay, Celsi, is it okay? Yeah. Hello, are you there? Where is
Yes,
she?
sir.
Yeah, you asked me the question, now you have to answer, no? Are you satisfied?
Yes, with that answer, sir.
Okay. Where
Sir,
is
how many?
Centuria?
I'm here,
Centuria.
sir.
Yeah, you are
Centuria.
also there. Yeah. Any doubt?
Uh, Sir, it's questions from other students. I'm just passing it, sir. For wearing
Yeah.
gloves and all, do you have to wear it or just mention it since it's 7 minutes?
You have to wear it. You have to wear it. That is why no, whenever I am taking the ASCII skill lab class, I used to train you how to wear the glove quickly. Yes or no? Suppose if it is digital rectal exam, how will you do it without wearing a glove? For that matter, even for bladder catheterization, you must wear a glove. You should know how to wear a glove. I used to teach you, no? Do you remember? Your thumb and the glove's thumb should align. Then only easily you can wear the glove. Otherwise, it is difficult. Within 1 or 2 minutes, you should be, not even 2 minutes, within a minute, you must be able to wear the glove. You must wear the glove. Other things you need not do, because many of our mannequin, I don't know whether it is working or not. Suppose if it is bladder catheterization, if you try to put the catheter, if it is not going into the urethra, what you will do? You just don't get panicky. All our mannequins are spoiled. You said that I will try to go inside, I will try to insert the whole catheter, and then you have to tell the theoretical part only, because all our mannequins are spoiled. Yes.
So we have to give a running commentary as every time we do a step.
Yeah. Whatever you are doing, no, all 20 steps, you have to talk. There, I won't open my mouth. I will keep quiet. I'll just observe you, what you are doing. If you are telling all the steps correctly, okay, easily you can get 20 out of 20. The examiner is not supposed to talk. At the end, okay, if it is digital rectal, okay, you have to tell your inference, whether you are palpating the prostate and whether the prostate median sulcus is felt, what is your inference, all those things you have to tell. Otherwise, usually the examiners, they won't talk. Yes, any other question from anybody?
One more question, sir.
Yeah.
What is the minimum marks we need to score to pass each OSCE station?
No, 20 is the mark, no. 20 means you have to get 10 marks. About 10 is pass. 10 also pass. If you get 10 also pass. I think minimum you have to pass 16, total 20 stations. 16 you have to pass, I think.
Okay, sir. So each station minimum to pass is 10 marks. 10 out of 20 is pass.
10 out of 20 is pass. Yes. Okay. Do you have any other question? Yeah, it is only 116, the total number. That means many students are not attending. Okay, it is up to them. If they want to read on their own, no problem. Because this is not this is an additional class only. No attendance for this. You have requested and we are taking the revision class. It is up to you. If you want to attend, you can attend. If you don't want to attend, it is up to you. No attendance. Yeah.
So one more question from a student from, I think the student was from the last group who attended surgery only for 1 week.
C
I
group.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
yeah.
In digital rectal examination, do we really find abnormal findings in prostate in the mannequin? My group didn't do this, so I don't know, sir.
Yeah, in the mannequin, but unfortunately our mannequin all are spoiled. If they are going to bring a new mannequin from Malacca, so you should be able to feel that nodule in the prostate. Craigie prostate also you can make up. But what we are having right now in MOVR is all spoiled. You cannot feel anything. That doesn't matter. Yeah, if it is faulty, no, we won't insist you to give your findings. If it is good only, we will ask you. But the normal one, you should be able to feel that median sulcus, should be able to feel the nodule. Those who have finished your this thing face to face, that is before March, okay, some three groups already finished before March in batch 40, I know that. Only 3 groups, after that online teaching, okay, all confusion. So whoever have finished this on face to face, you must be knowing. I have demonstrated. Whoever attended my class, this digital rectal, you must be knowing. So you have to tell like that only. Yeah.
Okay, sir. I think that's all, sir.
That's all. Okay. In that case, okay. Bye bye. See you on Thursday. Thursday morning, the same time. The topic is going to be just half an hour only. I'm not going to take more. Important X-rays and the important instruments. Some 5 instruments, 5 or 6 instruments and X-rays. What are the X-rays? They may ask you. And The final class is on not on 28th. I mistakenly I told them also, so I have to correct it. It is on 31st. Yeah, the same time, morning 10:30. Okay, bye bye. See you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.